Worse, the woman also visited a busy
Hello,
supermarket
let's
during
go.
the infection period. The third family member, the
Again.
male partner of the hotel worker, has a job in the mining industry and may have had multiple close contacts.
A woman in her 80s, and the two family members come from a very large family, and as a result there are a number of close family contacts, and 4 of those people are actually showing signs of COVID, and I'm expecting to get further results through today.
Jerry News! Now, contact tracing has gone on throughout the night. A positive, if there is one from this case, at least the elderly woman was wearing a mask throughout her time in hospital, so that is a good sign. Authorities say that they are using an abundance of caution here, but there is no mistaking this is a serious development. Back to you, Rosanna.
Thank you, Mike. And the elderly woman is being treated in the Royal Adelaide tonight. Tim Hatfield's there. Tim, anyone who may have crossed paths with her is being urged to get tested.
Yeah, they are, Rosanna. Before she was brought here to the RA, she had, as Mike said, been tested up at the Lyle Mac after initially presenting there. And while health authorities have stressed that proper procedures are in place for infection control at the hospital, 90 staff and patients have now been ordered into quarantine to try and stop any spread. However, anybody who was there in the emergency department in particular from 5:30 p.m. on Friday until 4:30 yesterday morning and is yet to be contacted by SA Health should also isolate immediately and get tested. Now, the supermarket of concern is at Parafield Plaza on the Salisbury Highway at Parafield Gardens. She was there between 10:30 and 11:30 on Thursday morning. Again, anybody who'd been there and really anybody in Adelaide who's showing symptoms should isolate and have a test. Now, all of this brings South Australia's border arrangements with Western Australia into the spotlight again. They had only opened up yesterday, and we do understand there is a flight to Perth in the air at the moment. It remains to be seen whether those passengers will be able to disembark when they touch down. We'll have more on that later in the bulletin. Rosanna?
Thank you, Tim. Hot, windy weather along with dry lightning has proved to be a dangerous combination right across the state today. Elise Baker joins me now, and Elise, CFS crews have battled more than 60 grass fires.
That's right, Rosanna, and authorities say the vast majority of those were sparked by lightning strikes, including this blaze at Meningie. Farmers with their own firefighting units joined CFS crews, putting out what they could and making sure those flames didn't get near properties. Fire bombers were also brought in to help, making 14 drops in the area. The fire tore through more than 50 hectares and is now contained. But fire crews are still battling another grass fire at Deepwater. At one stage, flames were 8 metres high and has so far burned through more than 1,000 hectares. Crews are expected to remain at that place throughout the night. Rosanna.
Thank you, Elise.
Yeah, and
Another
it's got
life
you.
has been lost on the notorious Victor Harbour Road. An elderly disqualified driver was killed after his car veered onto the wrong side of the road, smashing head-on into a four-wheel drive.
A scene of carnage on the edge of Mount Compass.
It was just after 5, we had a really enormous bang. And of course I just dropped everything and ran out the door.
Even before emergency services arrived, the 80-year-old driver of the white hatchback was getting help from an off-duty paramedic, nurse and doctor, as well as former police officer Lee Webb.
When I got down there, I could see that the neighbours were already performing CPR. I was putting my hands on wounds, applying pressure, handing things from first aid kits.
Paramedics continued CPR, but unfortunately their efforts were in vain.
Obviously you just keep going and keep going and keep going until somebody with authority says that hey, you can't do more.
In the other car, a 48-year-old mother and her young daughter. Both escaped serious injury but were taken to the Flinders Medical Centre for treatment. Police are investigating if the elderly driver suffered a medical episode.
While it's not clear if speed was a factor
following this latest crash. It's reignited debate amongst some Mount Compass locals who want the speed limit here reduced from 80 k's an hour to 60 to ensure drivers slow down before entering the township.
I see every morning cars just tearing past you. It's, even in the 80 zones. The Victor Harbour Road has been notorious for a long, long time.
78 lives have now been lost on our roads this year. Case Trelaw, 7 News.
Sports lovers rejoice. The Premier's confirmed he's committed to a second stadium in the heart of the city, but he warns we could be waiting years as the government pumps millions into existing facilities, with netball and footy the big winners.
At the home of the Adelaide Thunderbirds, a sudden downpour threatened to rain on the Premier's parade.
Do we need to reconsider where we have this press conference?
But as the weather cleared up, so did his feelings on the prospect of a new sports stadium in the CBD.
We are committed to a new stadium in the centre of the city.
It's a key recommendation of the state's 20-year sports plan unveiled today. It says a new central arena would enhance SA's ability to attract and retain international events, conventions and concerts.
I know there are plenty of people that are out there with their suggestions. We will look at those, but there is nothing imminent.
A major upgrade of the Myland netball facilities is imminent, thanks to a $12 million funding boost.
This is a very exciting day for our sport.
It'll buy a new modern entry and foyer, better patron facilities, plus new scoreboards and replay screens.
We are almost shovel ready and expect that our developments will definitely start in the next 6 to 12 months.
Also kicking goals, Theberton Oval. It gets $5 million to help pay for its facelift.
We'll make that a facility, AFL standard, AFL quality.
And it could make the ground even more appealing to the Adelaide Crows as their search for a new home continues. The club's confirmed Thebe Oval is among a number of sites being considered, but insists it's too early to say if it's the best one.
I'll leave that up to the Crows. We haven't had any discussions with the Crows with regards to that matter.
Mark Mooney, 7 News.
Police have arrested 2 men over a shocking daylight stabbing on Henley Beach Road. The victim was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries after a house party erupted in violence.
Leaving a trail of blood, the victim had tried to escape his attackers by clambering over this gate on Henley Beach Road.
I hear somebody cutting his neck at the bottom.
The 32-year-old was stabbed multiple times in his torso and arms after a party at a unit behind some shops at Torrensville went horribly wrong. Neighbours say the group had been drinking since 10:30 in the morning. By 5 p.m, tensions had reached boiling point.
No one deserves hurt this way, and we don't know the reason.
The victim was treated by paramedics at the scene and was still fighting for life when he was rushed to hospital. He's now in a stable condition.
I know the boys are one of the victims. Very good guy.
The suspects fled before police arrived at the scene, but officers managed to track them down a few hours later. A 42-year-old man from Pennington and a 39-year-old man from Cowandilla were arrested and charged with aggravated affray. Police say the attack wasn't random. The arrested men have been bailed under strict conditions to appear in the Port Adelaide Magistrates Court in January. But the violent ordeal in broad daylight has nearby residents on edge.
Especially in this area, a lot of families, a lot of children. For an incident like stabbing, releasing someone on bail so quickly is really not necessary.
Anyone with more information is urged to contact police. Andrea Nicholas, 7 News.
Police are hunting for 2 men who tried to rob a pizza bar at Morphett Vale early this morning. They burst into Pizza Blue on Baines Road just after 1 a.m. Armed with a knife and hammer, they threatened staff and customers but left empty-handed. The pair ran off, leaving behind a stolen motorbike which has since been returned to its owner. The world's biggest free trade agreement has just been signed in Canberra, opening up new markets for thousands of Australian companies. After 8 years of negotiations, the deal brings together 15 countries, with the government hoping it can repair our falling out with China.
Putting the ink on the largest trade deal of our time. Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Prime Minister Simon Birmingham signed the Comprehensive Economic Partnership. It involves 15 nations, including China, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Vietnam, Indonesia, and other Southeast Asian countries, making up nearly 30% of world GDP and the world's population.
What this does is provide a common set of rules and approaches in terms of trade.
It builds on Australia's existing free trade agreements and opens up new opportunities for goods and services.
Great news for businesses and farmers and for jobs in Australians and the economic recovery.
Expected to inject billions of dollars into our economy, it's been welcomed by exporters who've been subjected to severe sanctions from China.
We're so reliant on trade. Improving our trade and market access is vitally important.
It's hoped the new agreement will thaw the frosty relationship and help end the trade dispute.
We know that trade is one of the things that does bring us together.
Ministers are still finding it difficult to contact their Chinese counterparts, but this new deal provides an opportunity to re-engage with authorities.
There's an obligation on the government to work out how they're going to fix this. Otherwise we lose jobs.
From the red meat industry,
Australian beef and lamb is the greatest in the world.
no arguments there. Jennifer